A recent study finds nearly half of parents with children over the age of 18 are still providing those kids with financial support.
Yes, tonight we're talking with Dan Casey, the founder of Bridge River Advisors in Bluefield Hills. And Dan, you know, we're seeing this especially after the pandemic. A lot of parents having a hard time cutting the cord, a lot of kids at home, very unmotivated. How do you stop this from even starting, really?
Yeah, so I think like helping them start the process, like we were just saying with my 18-year-old, I did this. So we you know, as soon as he started working, we got the debit card, right? So he knew how to manage his money a little bit, right? And then we, you know, opened up an IRA for him, let him start investing and see that. And then now that he turned 18, I'm encouraging him to get a credit card, but attached to a savings account, right? Just so we can start building credit and learn how powerful that is.
We apologize to Dan Casey's son, who may be watching this. We don't mean to use you as an example, but Dan's son is an example that so many parents are watching right now saying, you know what, during the pandemic, I just had to jump in to help. There were some really tough times. Talk about what kind of an increase we saw because of the pandemic.
Yeah, so, you know, of course, with the college campuses shutting down, the kids came home, and that study that you're referring to, the parents were paying about $1,000 a month to these kids, you know, to pay for cell phone bills or whatever.
Because they couldn't work.
Yeah, they couldn't work. And I did a fun little exercise before I got here. If you're 55 and you put $1,000 into your accounts, investment accounts, instead of your kid, if for 5 years, you'd have $100,000 by the time you hit 65 at retirement if you stopped it. So it's amazing, like if you can steer some of that money away from, and worry about yourself, your own retirement, and not so much your child, if you can, of course.
Yes, because a lot of kids too, especially when they come out of college, they're facing so much debt. We're hearing this more and more now. So they can't even get their first job to be able to pay off their bills. So they're living with mom and dad.
Yeah, right.
So is there some advice when it comes to crushing your debt in order to get that independence?
Yeah, so that study also showed how over the last 30 years, college tuition doubled and then college debt tripled. So, right, because the college tuition was so expensive, people are borrowing more. So really just kind of, if you do move home, you know, start tackling the higher interest debt first. And then once that's paid off, keep making that same payment to the next debt. So it's called, you know, snowballing, and it can really help cut it
And for
quickly.
the moms and dads who are out there who are doing this because it's the loving thing to do and it's to take care of a child, you're saying in the long run, it does hurt them. Talk about why.
Yeah, I just think it's really important to teach your kid budgeting. And like the credit score that I was referring to, helping them build that so they see how important that is. So when they are spending money and trying to figure out where it should go, to know that all this affects them long term, right? Their credit score and what they can borrow and lend in the future.
That's good advice. I mean, this is hard stuff. And so bottom line is if you had one tip you could give a kid who's living at home right now, who's watching this, maybe from the basement, not to make a stereotype, but you're watching from the next room, and you want to know, hey, what do I do right now to get ahead and kind of kill some of this debt? What are some quick tips?
Yeah, so definitely work. I mean, you could throw a rock, right,
Kids
and
don't
find
work anymore.
a help wanted sign. Everybody's hiring, so get out and work. Even when my kid goes to college, I still want him to work a little bit, right? So you kind of learn that balance. So go to work, make some money, start paying off the debt.
Because it also teaches you how to balance your schedule and gives you a work ethic.
Yes.
And then you're able to get a job down the road. I mean, all of that stuff is part of life training, correct?
Totally. This is the time to do it.
All right, so parents, even though it hurts, you're going to have to cut the cord.
Yeah, what is it? There was a movie, Failure to Launch, which is funny.
Right.
But at the same time, when you really look at the inside story here of these families, I know so many families are struggling. And so not to make light of that, we know people are trying to help people, but in the long run, if there is a way, this is the way to do it. Just to start cutting that cord.
Yep.
Dan
Can't
Casey.
depend on your mom for laundry and food all the time. Maybe a little while.
Exactly.
No, I'm kidding. I did.
Dan Casey, good to see you, financial advisor.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.